idea the amount of ignorant mess we're about to get into right now.
Sit your $5 ass down before I make change.
Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of Black on Black Cinema. I'm your host, Jay. I'm here with my co-host, Micah.
Hey.
And Tiara, our guest this week.
Hey.
All right, guys. We are back. This is episode 188, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. This is newly released on Netflix. This is a review of Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. I don't think I need to say that. I shouldn't have to say that, but for some reason, people never learn. So you can watch this on Netflix. So you don't need to comment, where can I watch this show? It's on Netflix. Okay, this is the 2020 American drama film directed by George C. Wolfe and starring Chadwick Boseman, Viola Davis, Glynn Turman, Coleman Domingo, and Michael Potts. This is based on the August Wilson play of the same name. Basically, the general premise is Ma Rainey, who is considered the mother of blues, is coming up to Chicago from the South to record an album with her agent and some local producer, and her band is also there. And one of the members of the band is an ambitious trumpeter named Levee, played by Chadwick Boseman. And it's sort of tensions flare between all of those characters as they're trying to record this album. I will go to our special guest first. Tiara, what were your thoughts on this?
I loved it. I love plays and I love play adaptations. I loved Fences, which is another August Wilson play. So I knew that when I saw that they were doing another one, even though I hadn't heard of Ma Rainey, I knew I would love this one. I got a little bit misty-eyed because this is Chadwick's last film. So, I think it just amplifies the tragedy of his passing, because we won't see someone or see another performance of his again. And to me, this performance is different from other ones that I've seen of his. So it's actually nice to see him play a dude who is from South Carolina and not like T'Challa or something.
Right.
But otherwise, I loved it. And I would watch it again and again. So, yeah.
There you go. All right, Micah, your thoughts?
Yeah, this is I really enjoyed this. This is like you said, the second August Wilson play to be adapted for the screen. Denzel Washington produced the first one and this one. He said he's going to bring all 10 of the Pittsburgh cycle plays to some sort of screen, either the big screen or the small screen. So expect a lot more of them, which I think is dope. Performances are great. It's always weird with these plays because they're very much the dialogue is very much written in the style of a play, right? Like at times I was expecting all of the lights to go down and a spotlight be on the person who is telling the story at the time. It's a little, it takes a bit of getting used to, because when you're looking at a play, you kind of take in the whole scene. Whereas with a film adaptation of a play, you still have like the atmosphere of a play, but it's staged differently, and it just I don't know. There's something about it that's just kind of off, not necessarily in a bad way, not in a good way. It's just different, right? Whereas something like Hamilton, which was performed on stage, but directed like a documentary of a play, is that feels like it, that feels right. So I'm always curious with these, how it would feel if it was like shot in that Hamilton style on Disney Plus, right? Like if this film was performed on a stage, but actually shot like Hamilton was shot. So, but that's neither here nor there. Performances were excellent, of course. Glynn Turman, who is having a bit of a renaissance.
Thank you. I'm glad you mentioned because I was going to say the same thing, dude. Jesus, I was just
Like, you know,
last couple of months.
and you know, it's you know, when an old wrestler comes back from, you know, retirement or whatever, they're like, you know, the crowd to show their appreciation, they're like, you still got it. And it's like, yeah, man, he still got it. Like, and you wonder like, oh, well, it probably never left. Like he's always been a really, really good actor. What's that dude's name? He's a character actor, and he is you see him in everything. Coleman Domingo.
Yeah.
Oh, he's good. He's in Fear of the Walking Dead.
Yeah, he's really good.
Mm-hmm.
He was in Newlyweds that you guys didn't like for some fucking weird reason.
Because I'm not a pothead like you. He's really, really good.
I feel it's defensive.
In everything that he's in, man. So, yeah, man. I and the film talks about a lot of different things that that we'll touch on, but yeah, I recommend it, man. It's and you know, we'll talk about Chadwick Boseman, but you know, he's probably going to get an Oscar for this.
100%.
You know, like, not necessarily, you know, like, not that it's not deserved because it is, but you know, just given the events of his passing, Hollywood loves to pat itself on the back like that. Or not pat itself on the back, but like
they circle the wagons for them.
Yeah. They like to give you your roses when you're gone instead of. So yeah, he's a shoo-in for that, and it's well deserved, man. I mean that's the thing. It's like the same with when Heath Ledger died right after his performance as the Joker. Like, yeah, it's tragic, and people were like, they're probably going to give it to him. But like, also his performance was fucking stellar. So it's like. Right. And I hope that doesn't get lost in it, in all of it. You know what I mean?
Right. And look, I can understand it from both perspectives, but yeah. Look, I thought this was great. Much like the two of you, I thought Fences was tremendous. So it's like, it's another August Wilson play. Sign me up. I'm all for it. Because I like plays a lot because they're so character driven. And as a person who watches a lot of like nonsense with CGI and everything else, it's nice to just see people acting, right? Like there's nothing in this movie that is carrying a scene except for their incredible performances. And that's so much fun to watch. There's no distraction, right? Like you're just watching people at the top of their game. People refer to, Viola Davis as the Black Meryl Streep. Yes, but I would also refer to Meryl Streep as the white Viola Davis. Like she's top of the game, man. Like there is not a better living black actress than Viola Davis. There just isn't, in my opinion. Like, you know, I'm sure people have other opinions, and that's okay. But to me, she's top of the game, and there's a reason why she's here in this role. Viola Davis always, like in every role she plays, and a lot of times they're pretty varied in the style of the characters, I never feel like she's acting. And it's the same reason, like, I love Meryl Streep and stuff. Like, she just brings her own thing to roles and makes them individualized in her career, but she fucking brings it every time. And in this, like, she's a wildly different character than the character of Rose from Fences. Like, they could not be any more opposite, but the same actress brings, like, a level of just stellar work to both of them. Like, she was awesome. My only criticism is I wish she was in it more, to be honest. That's my only criticism. Yeah.
I would even say, like, she embodied the role so well that in the beginning, I had to do like a double take. Like, I was like, is that Viola? Because it didn't look like her, like with the makeup and the teeth and the sweat on her face. It didn't look like her. She looked like a whole new person. Yeah.
Yeah. She really, I mean, physically and, acting wise, really transformed in this role. Like she was stellar. I mean, I don't think I can say enough positive things about Chadwick's performance. Like he destroyed every scene. every scene that they were like spotlight and just let him go, man. Jesus. And to think that he was doing this at the twilight of his career, like just at the very end of where he probably felt the worst, he was still just absolutely crushing these scenes. I mean, it's amazing work. And it bums me out because there's some dialogue that happens in this movie that is just like very eerie to know that that he passes.
I took note of that too.
Yeah. And I'm just like, oh God, that feels horrible to hear. But at the same time, you're just like, I'm watching the movie and I'm just like, go, man, go. Cause like, this is the if this is how your career sadly had to end, this is the way to end it, right? Like not on like some middling movie where people are like, but this was such an amazing performance, right? Like, so to be able to look back on that, I think is powerful. Coleman Domingo was great as well. Like, I always think that guy's good. Like, he feels like a guy who can be a leading man if he just got that right story. Like, if he got that break, I think that guy could be like as big as anything.
He has an amazing voice. Coleman Domingo. His voice is very like, I don't know, it's just very deep and smooth.
He sounds like he has an authoritative voice, but he sounds like a dad. Like he sounds like he's somebody's dad. Like he sounds like he commands respect.
Yes.
Well, he's also a big guy. Yeah. Like, he's also a physically big guy, so probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I like him. I liked him in Newlyweds. I've liked him in everything I've seen him. He has a personality on camera that I've always enjoyed. So it's cool. And like you said, Glynn Turman is just like, hey, did y'all forget about me? Like, I'm gonna crush a couple. I'm gonna go on Fargo and crush it. I'm gonna come on here. I'm gonna crush it. I'm gonna do a couple of things in case you guys forgot. I've always liked Glynn Turman since I was gonna say Different Strokes. Listen to me, A Different World, A Different Stroke, and even before that. I think he's really good. I actually grew up with his nephew. Incidentally, lived right down the street from me. So, I remember seeing his picture, like, as his dad's brother and shit. I was like, the guy from fucking A Different World? Are you serious? Yeah. It's like, wow, you guys are rich. They were like, we are not rich. He don't send us no money. But yeah, no, I've always liked him. So yeah, look, great performances all the way around. Could not recommend this enough. If you all I will say is if you liked Fences or if you love Fences, this is a must see as well. So
yeah, absolutely.
So the movie starts out with, you see some black people running through the woods, which is a very ominous sort of beginning to a story, right? And you're just like, oh shit, here we go. But they just kind of like make it into a clearing, and you find out that all these people are just in the woods somewhere to see Ma Rainey perform, and it's 1927. I'm not sure what I guess to kind of set up a weird, switcheroo on the audience, but I just found that to be a very interesting opening. And so they show Ma Rainey singing and performing, and she's singing like a pretty like sexually suggestive song, and by all accounts, and I'm not trying to be rude here, by all accounts, Ma Rainey is not a sex symbol. Like, she's not, but her voice and her style is what makes the music so sexy, which is kind of interesting because then the audience is like this really interesting array of people. Like, there's like a couple old ladies like, yeah, girl. I'm like, okay, grandma, go home. But then there's like a bunch of young dudes who are like, yeah. I'm like, really? Okay. So it's just, I don't know. It's just like the sexiness of the music of its time is powerful, right? Which is dope. And they actually use music by Ma Rainey, the real Ma Rainey, in this movie. So you actually get to hear like her, actually her voice, which is really a good thing. And even like you said, Tiara, like if you just took a glance, you might not know that's Viola Davis.
I didn't believe it when the movie started. Like, get out of here. No, it's not. I'm looking at a picture of Viola Davis and my nether regions are moving.
Yeah, right, exactly.
This and it ain't doing nothing.
Mike has a problem with women with fronts, but whatever. You hate her.
God.
No, that's as ridiculous as we're gonna get. Well, no, I mean, who are we kidding? So the movie does this other thing that I thought was really dope. After that scene, there's sort of showing like, hey, Ma Rainey is going up north to cut this album, and they do this intro where they're showing these like black and white images of black people moving out of the South post slavery. And, you know, these want ads for all of these jobs up north, and like black people just like, I got to get the fuck out of here. Kind of migrating. And these black and white pictures are really interesting because then like they actually move, like they'll have like one of the people moves in it and stuff like that. It was cool. And it's supposed to show time from the ending of slavery into 1927, where you have you have like people, like black people actually doing what they want to do and like kind of being their own man or woman.
It's pretty much in the middle of the Great Migration,
right? Just
moving to northern cities for better opportunities. Mm-hmm.
Right. And we see a scene of them performing, and we see Levee. He's got his eye on one of Ma Rainey's girls, I would assume is her girlfriend, from things that happened later. And Levee's like checking her out. He's like playing the trumpet and all this other stuff, like looking at her and everything else. And she's kind of into it. And
he learned how to play the trumpet for the movie because
yes, he did.
Yep. Yeah, he did.
Fucking actor, man.
Yeah, I saw a behind the scenes thing about that, and it was like Glynn Turman and Coleman Domingo talking about it, and they were like, "Yeah, we hear this dude playing in the hotel, and we're like, well, fuck that, like we gotta step our game up." So like they all learned to play the instruments to some degree, and it was like a music school, like they were just playing all the time.
Yeah, the guy who played, I think, what's his name, Michael Potts or something.
Yeah,
the guy who plays Slow Drag.
Yeah,
he said he had never touched a bass in his life before this movie. So, but you would never be able to tell just from watching it. Yeah,
you know, actors, especially great actors, have an ability of mimicry that is something to admire. Honestly, like people are like, oh, I had to practice for 30 years to figure this out. And the actors are like, hold on a second. Let me see if I can shortcut this. And they figure this shit out. It's like really talented people tend to rise to the occasion. Henceforth, why Tom Cruise flew a helicopter when that should have taken him like 8 years to learn. He learned in like 3 weeks. Like there's a weird mimicry thing, with some actors can do that. Mm-hmm. So we see the band. They make it to the Chicago recording studio. Everybody but Levee and Ma Rainey are there. So it's Coleman Domingo, Glynn Turman, and was it Mario Potts or Michael Potts? Excuse me. And they're all there, and the agent, Ma Rainey's agent, is like panicked, like, oh, where's Ma? Where's Levee? Like, you know, we're gonna need this. And they're like, they'll be here. Like, relax. They're on CP time. Like, it's fine. Mm-hmm. Right? And eventually Levee gets there, but not before he makes a quick stop to buy some yellow leather shoes. Look, those shoes were dope. Not gonna lie, those shoes were super dope. Might not have reacted in the way that maybe he did later on.
I mean, not for a whole ass $11 though. Ain't $11 dope. I'm telling you right now.
I saw that. I was like, I see some things that would change. Niggas in their shoes.
Yeah, right. We take it way too seriously. Yo. We take it way too seriously. Yeah, this is a story of a Crip having his shoes walked on by a blood. Like somebody got to get hurt. So yeah, so he comes in. He's got the yellow shoes. And like he's the cut up, right? Levee is the loud, super talented trumpeter, but he likes to go against the grain, right? Where the three older guys are, you know, just like, let's just play the music, like get it over with, and we just go home, get paid. And Levy's like, nah, I need to write music. I need to like do the stuff my way. And like, he wants to dance. He wants to talk to women. Like he's the brash young guy. But he's the brash young guy with the like just raw talent, right?
He's a fool.
Yeah. I mean, he's a bit of a fool. He is. I mean, I feel like you hating, but,
I mean, I'm not hating, but like there were just some similarities between him and Ma Rainey that I noticed.
What do you mean?
I'm like this. So, and maybe we'll probably get into this as we like get into Ma's dialogue about like white people and her talent and whatnot. But it's like both of them are people who know that they're talented and deserve to be recognized for that talent.
Right.
But to me, Ma Rainey was a bit more secure in herself than Levee was. Like Levee still felt like he had to prove something to someone.
Right.
Whereas like with Ma Rainey, I never got that. And also it seemed like she thought a little bit longer term in terms of like how people are going to be able to take advantage of her voice. Whereas it seemed like Levee was so ready to just fly when he didn't even recognize when he was being played himself.
Right. Yeah, no, I think that's true. I would say they're kind of like the same person at just different points in the story, right? You know,
Right.
like in their own personal story. So
Right.
I can totally see that. Which is why their conflict is the most interesting, right? Because of that. They get led down to the band room, and Levee swears that the door that's in the room wasn't there before. And so, you know, Glynn Turman's character is like, look, like everything changes. Like it just does, you know, like molecules change and your skin changes and all stuff. And I love really the first introduction to Levee besides the shoes is Levee going, nigga, what are you talking about? He was like, yo, what is going on? You're talking about all this extra bullshit. I'm not even talking about that. I'm just talking about this door. And they sort of create this dynamic where Levee is always sort of questioning the old school logic of Slow Drag, Toledo, and Cutler, as they're sort of trying to give him advice on being in the world. And he's like, nah, I ain't trying to hear all that bullshit. Meanwhile, there is an interesting moment that they're all passing a joint around. Cause you know, it's like playing the blues and jazz, like marijuana was very much tied to that. So, but you know, Micah would hate on this because these people, these good black men are having a good time. Ain't hurting nobody.
No, they're
Making the best music of a generation.
They're shortening their musical careers by polluting their lungs with smoke. You see, you need your lungs to blow into that trumpet.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't recommend smoking. That seems like a bad idea.
Yeah, me neither. But like,
Don't do drugs, kids.
No, don't.
Except for weed, as the joke is. So yeah, they're talking about that, and they're like, look, we need to rehearse the music. And basically, Levee is like, look, I don't want to rehearse any more of this jug band music. And so he wants to do the song Black Bottom to an arrangement that he wrote, not to Ma Rainey's original arrangement.
Right.
And so they're like, no, we're going to do it Ma Rainey's way. Like, look, when you get your own band, you can do whatever you want. But when you're in this band, you gotta play, he's like, Cutler literally says trumpet players are a dime a dozen.
I mean, they kind of are.
They kind of are, right? Well, one of the things that I do find interesting is that the three guys, like especially Cutler, always, except for in one scene, no matter how harsh his advice is to Levee, he always does it with a smile on his face. He's always like, look, I don't really care. Like, what are you talking about? Like, it's fine, but you're gonna play this music. Like, stop fucking around. Like,
yeah. Well, you know, it's this character. I feel so bad for the Levee character, right? Like, it's the inexperience and hubris of youth
Mm-hmm.
And you know, these guys and gals they know how the world works.
Right.
And it is the adult figures trying to guide this impetuous youth to, you know, to like, this is what our parents tell us, right? It's what we're going to tell our kids, and our kids, you know, they're not going to listen. They're going to try and open that fucking door. And then they're going to, if we don't do our job, they're going to open that door and see that it leads to nowhere.
Right.
Right. Like it's, and I feel bad because especially now that I'm a parent, I'm like, come on, yo, like just calm down for a second and just listen to him. Just listen to him. Like, because you don't have all the answers, man.
Yeah.
Right.
And, yeah, I feel so bad for this character, man, for multiple reasons, but.
Yeah. So I feel bad for the Levee character too. And there's so many things I see in him that made me go like, oh yeah, he's a fool. Like he's buying the new shoes before he's really done anything
before he got paid, yo.
Like, I'm like, you're here you are, you're buying these fancy new shoes and you don't even have your own band, and you're not recognizing that you being on Ma Rainey's team and playing well and doing your part, staying in your lane while you're on her team will help you in the long run. But he doesn't see that.
Yeah,
but he's so rushing to have his own part in the Ma Rainey Black Bottom song and not realizing that it's not up to him. It's what Ma says.
Right. Like he wants to prove himself, right? Like he's a rise and grind kind of guy. And I get it, right? Like you have to have a certain amount of that if you want to be successful in anything, right?
Right.
Like the most successful people in the world, they have that. They just have it on like a too much of it, right?
Right.
Like look at the Bezoses and the Trumps and the McMahons. Like those guys are assholes.
Yeah.
But they are this character, and they're all white men. So you can do that. You can't do that as a black man.
Right.
And as a black person, you can't. No. You gotta play your role. I remember once we were talking about code switching with Terrence and
who's fine, by the way.
He's fine. We spoke to him the other day. He's taking a break.
Yeah.
And I talked about how at one of my jobs, I worked in sales, right? Mm-hmm. And I had to affect my voice to not sound like I normally sound, right?
Right.
And it's not that someone told me I had to do it, but I felt like I had to do it. Right. And maybe it's wrong that I felt that way, mm-hmm. but I'm trying to play this game, and it's the only way I know how to play it. Right? Mm-hmm. And not saying that he was wrong or that I'm right or vice versa. It's just a different way of playing the game. It's the way that I was taught, and nobody taught this dude that. Right. Or he learned how to play the game
a different way,
in a different way, which was really messed up. So I feel so bad for him, man. God
yeah.
Damn.
Well, it's so, Micah, like when you say like only white men can be assholes. Yeah, you're right. But I feel like in this movie, Ma Rainey was kind of an asshole, but she's an asshole but here's the thing. She does the kind of things that I want to be able to do in my work environment. Wow.
I'm going to forward this to your coworkers. Wow, you got a real problem.
Because she is so sure in her talent. Yeah, she knows how valuable she is, and she doesn't let anybody disrespect her. Even when it comes down to saying, "I want my Coke, get me my Coke," and to me, I'm like, that's something where I could feel the exasperation from the other team, from her other teammates. Three Cokes, sorry. But like, I can feel the exasperation from the other team. But I'm like, well, to be able to command that kind of power in 1927 as a Black woman, and she would have had. I wish the movie had kind of gone into it a little bit more about like how she has been able to get to this part of her career, which I'm assuming is probably like the middle or end of her career or something, a place where she's at least well established enough to be able to do that. and that's
Right.
something that Chadwick Boseman's character hasn't gotten to that point yet. Like he's trying to act like Ma Rainey, but he doesn't have the Ma Rainey.
Right. Exactly.
skills
You don't
yet.
have the experience. You don't have the
Right.
life experience yet. And that's what they're trying to teach you.
Right.
And he's the type of character that you can't tell him that.
Right. He has to learn the hard way.
Right. He has to learn the hard way. And yeah, I wish that you're right. I wish that we got a little more of the Rainey character. You know, I haven't seen the play, but I wish that, you know, we got to know more about that character, right? Because that character is very interesting, right? Like one, she's commanding, she's a boss, as the young people say. Two, she's queer.
They don't say that.
Right?
Yeah.
Like she's queer. She's black female queer in 1927, and is not as, you know,
And not-
traditionally good looking,
And not
So-
really hiding it either, right? Now, this is not like, oh, this is my friend. Like,
right?
no, not really.
Right. People know that that's Ma's girl.
Right.
Right.
So
Even Levee knows, which is, I think, honestly, another way of him trying to assert dominance he just doesn't have.
yeah, he's trying to. Yeah, that's his way of saying, you know, like that's why I fucked your bitch. Get money. Like, all right, calm down, calm down.
Wow.
We don't need to hit him up, Levee.
Hit 'em
Jesus.
Oh my God. Yeah, I thought like the idea of them teaching, I'm trying to, as I'm like sort of listening to you guys talk about it, I'm trying to figure out what each of those characters represents, right? Because I don't think it's just about teaching. I think they specifically, represent certain aspects of personality, and of the black personality especially of the time. Yeah, I mean, he has seen Ma Rainey established, and that's what he wants. That's where he wants to be, but he hasn't seen what the hard work and disrespect that she's dealt with to get there, right? I mean, the power of Ma Rainey isn't just that she is, and we'll get to her when she really comes into the story, isn't just that she just talks to white folks any kind of way, which is amazing. And it's not just that it's 1927, which is also amazing. And it's not just because she's a woman, right? A black woman of that time and queer. It's that she is so, like you said, she is so sure of her power, which is that she is the only one who does what she does. She is the only one who is the mother of blues. And because of that, with that power and status, she is able to, on her own, equalize any situation with white people, which is just incredible. And he wants that, but he doesn't understand what it took to get there. Right. Which is,
he thinks he does.
Right. Which is dangerous
Because of, you know, his situation. Like he thinks he does, but nah, yo, like they're going to win out in the end.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, it's it's a super interesting scene, right? And so he's going on and on about that. And then we see a scene of Ma Rainey leaving her hotel in Chicago, and you know, she's got her own car that she bought. She's heading to the recording studio. You know, everybody, they're specifically only showing black people. Everybody is looking at her with like disgust that she is this like arguably kind of a trashy person, right? That's their view. I'm not saying that, but that's clearly the kind of disgust that they have for her, right? Everyone's like, what are you doing here? Meanwhile, she's probably fucking more loaded than any of them, right? But she doesn't roll in their circles. And then we cut back to the recording studio where the guys are talking because Levee was saying that they were going to play his arrangement, and the white dude came in. He was like, "Yeah, we're gonna play Levee's arrangement. That one's the really good one." And he's like, "Yeah, I told y'all niggas." What happened now? And Coulter Cutler's like, "Yeah, we'll see when Ma gets here. We'll see what we're gonna do." And he happened to be correct. Ma shows up. She eventually gets there, and she gets into a car accident. And basically, like, the cop is like yelling at her, and she starts yelling back at the cop like she's a white man in 2020, like getting out of the car, like, "You work for me," type of shit. And she didn't even get nice sticked, which was amazing. Good for her. That's how much power she had. And she just basically had her agent, like, she was like, "White man, go deal with this other white man for me," and he did, which is powerful. It's absolutely incredible. And there's a scene of Levee going back and forth about like bad luck, and they have a whole conversation about God, and like how God ain't shit, and how God, if God is such a big deal, then he's gonna strike him down and all this other shit. Yeah, I mean, that part I enjoyed. Like, he was like, "Nah, this is not gonna happen." Yeah, smite me, oh great smiter. I mean, that's like a conversation between Mike and I. I'm always like, "God ain't gonna do nothing." He's like, "You're gonna have bad luck if you say things like that." I'm like, "Shut up, Mike. Get out of here."
No, I don't say that. I say, "Hey, I'll enjoy it in heaven, and you can, do whatever in purgatory at best."
Well, I don't think I'm making it to purgatory. Let's get real.
But
Cool people in hell anyway.
this is I guess we could talk about it a little later when it kind of really comes to a head. But
Yeah.
I hate talking about religion because all of my friends are atheists.
What's that say about you?
And that I'm going to be lonely up there. But it's something that that is in our community, right? Like,
Yeah.
y'all are outliers in our community, and and it is important to people. And
It is.
I don't care if people are atheists. When I get offended is when people are, when they're proud to throw it in your face, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because then you know better than the religious people who throw their fucking religion in your face.
Right, Jay? Yeah, we know. We know.
I don't throw. I don't believe in that. I used to. Like every former religious person who is an atheist, it's like you go through several layers, right? Like you're angry, and then you're like, "Fuck everybody," and then like, "Fuck these people specifically," and then you hopefully you just go, "I don't really give a shit. Do whatever you want to do."
Yeah, but most people get stuck in the Bill Maher level.
Yeah,
right?
I know.
Right.
I'm not.
Right.
And that shit annoys me, man.
Right.
No, I'm not. I actually I don't like when people are. I think they're like, I don't like when people say things like, we should ban all religions. I'm like,
No,
that's just as ignorant as saying like you should make everyone religious. Like, that's just as stupid to me, right? Like, I understand the logic behind it, and I guess I agree that I think those things are destructive to some degree, but like, I also believe that people should have the right to believe what they want to believe. I don't like when people use shit as a shield to bash people over the head. Either way.
Just don't be a dick. Don't be an asshole about your religion or non-religion.
Yeah, that's it.
That's it.
Don't try to convert me. Like, just don't try to. I'm not gonna try to convert you. Don't try to convert me.
Yeah, don't try to use your religion to not wear a mask. None of that. We're still gonna believe in science and facts.
Yeah, God doesn't want me to wear a mask. He said it in the Bible in the back. Don't look back there. Thou shalt not weareth a mask during a pandemic. Like, all right, like, that's not in the Bible, guys. Just stop it. So yeah, like his view on religion, he's very much it's not even that he doesn't believe in God. He was just like, I don't fuck with God. He's like, nah, God exists, but fuck him. I was like, damn, that's wild. Like, that's a wild stance. But he's been hurt so much in life because he's an impulsive asshole. That's where he feels that religion has left him. I would argue some of it is his own doing, some of it isn't, but most of it is his own doing.
Yes.
Yeah. So Ma Rainey shows up again. She, her driver and her girlfriend, they're in a car with her, and they get into a car accident. The white cop is like, "Look, I'm gonna haul this person down to the station for assault," and she's like, "You better get the fuck out of here with all that bullshit." And he's like, "How do we even know this is your car? You say it's your car," and all that stuff. And Ma is so used to talking to people any way she wants. Like, I feel like she forgot she was in Chicago. Like,
I was legit afraid for her in this moment, because I'm like, oh wow, you just like, and now, but she kind of like moved a little bit where I'm like, oh wow, like I was expecting a white cop to pull out a gun or something like that, especially when they said that she got like physical or pushed some guy down. Mm-hmm. But she just stood her ground. She was like, the fuck I did, and this is my car, and I bought it with my own money.
Yep.
Just amazing.
Yeah, this scene just goes to show you how much of a sort of larger than life figure she is, right? Like,
yeah,
she'll take no shit.
I love the optics of it too, right? Like, they got the shortest possible actor they could to play that cop without being ridiculous, right? Like, they got the shortest possible actor, and Viola Davis, who is tall already and in heels.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out where I saw that cop from, and it was in Dark Knight, I think. That's what he was in.
He was probably something. Yeah, I was gonna say he's probably a cop in that too.
Yeah. He looks like he's Irish.
Jay, you mentioned about like, who do these characters represent with their personalities, and I feel like, I don't know about the other characters, but for Ma Rainey, to me, she represents, at least at that time, the future of like how Black people could be in terms of like being themselves and being able to command what they deserve in terms of how they should be treated.
Interesting.
And
I would largely agree with that. And
like, I guess with a character like Toledo, is that Glynn Turman's character?
Yes.
He is just like the go along, get along guy who just doesn't want any trouble. He's the guy at work who is just like, I just want to do my job, not get in trouble, and go home and get paid. I'm good. I
saw Slow Drag as that character. I saw Toledo as the guy who is he's not afraid to criticize his own, right? Like, because we all, as Black people, we all have like, what is this nigga doing? Like, right. Like, this is not, like, no, this is not how it, he's the logic. Right. Whereas Cutler is the religion, right?
Right.
And Slow Drag is just like the guy that's just like, yo, can we just do this? Which is why he don't have a lot of lines, because he's like, that's not really, being a fence rider ain't really interesting, right?
Yeah. I would say, like, for me, like, this movie draws so many like parallels to the workplace just as a Black person. So I see. Wait,
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Micah. Who did you say you thought represented logic?
Glynn Turman.
Yeah. Okay. And yeah,
slow drag is the fence rider.
No. Okay. This is what I was. Okay. This is exactly what I wanted to get to. It's logos, ethos, and pathos. That's what it is, right? It is logic, ethics, and basically emotion. Like, that's what those three guys represent. That's what I was trying to get at. I was trying to figure out which of the three, like which ones, but you're right.
Yeah.
Glynn Turman is the logic. Credibility and trust is Coleman
Cutler. Domingo's character. Yeah.
Cutler. And then the emotion and values, stories, that sort of thing, is, well, that might actually be
emotion and values. That's Cutler, like, because that's where the
the religion thing is. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, and then ethos is slow drive. Right? He's the credibility. He's the steady Eddie. Steady Eddie guy. Right. Exactly. Confidence in delivery, cites credible sources, that sort of thing. So yeah, that's what it is, right? Like that's what any great play has something like that, right? Where especially characters represent not just like, I agree with you, Tiara, like that idea of Ma Rainey representing sort of the future, right? I mean, I'm not sure. I mean, maybe August Wilson did feel that way. Like this is what we could be. Like, I don't know. Right. Mm-hmm. But those three characters definitely are logic, ethics, and sort of, emotion, right? Like that's fascinating. Once you start to look at it like that, they're even sort of circling, like they literally are circling this one character as they're trying to give a readout of like, these are the perspectives that we have, right? Like even when you look at the design of when they show that it's always a triangle in the middle with those three at the different points. And often in the scenes when they're talking to him, he is in the center and they're trying to feed him their different perspectives. So that's, I find that to be, really interesting and a really cool way to present this actually. So yeah, thank you. That's what I was like, what the fuck is it? I'm like, it's in the back of my mind. Cause I was exactly like, this is going to sound weird and like tied to politics just for a second. That was exactly, if you go back and watch the way that when Obama was running for president in 2008, if you go back to the 2008 convention, the three speakers that he had before him, that was the setup they were doing, right? It was like one was logic, one was emotion, and one was like credibility. Logic would have one of them. Logic would have been so it was Bill Clinton, Michelle Obama, and Joe Biden, right? I think those were the big three before him. So like credibility and trust would probably be Clinton, right? Like he's been president before. Like logic is Biden, right? Like here's his like these are the facts. And then the emotion is his wife, right? Michelle Obama. So it was an interesting way for them to paint him in those three perspectives. Cause I remember watching it with my brother-in-law who teaches argument. So like, he was like, that's what that is. Like this is three sides. So it's super fascinating to watch it happen in this play as well. And this nigga didn't listen. so at the end of the day, that's what happened. This nigga just didn't listen.
And you have the two parallels, right? Like the Ma Rainey, who is all of that logos, ethos, and pathos wrapped together. Like this is what happens when all of that comes together,
right?
Yeah.
And you got Levee. You know,
he missing one.
He missing all of them.
He's missing all of them. He's not trying to hear any of it.
No.
And that's why he is the tragic figure in this play.
That's right. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Damn, yo, we smart. Just saying. Yeah. You're not gonna get that kind of breakdown anywhere else. Get out of here.
We is smart, we is kind,
and we is important. That's one of the best. That little white baby.
Viola Davis hated doing that movie.
Everyone hated doing that movie. Even the white people were like, "Don't watch this movie, yo. We deeply regret. We deeply regret doing this movie." Jessica Chastain was like, "Just see Ava, yo. Don't go see this movie, please, for the love of God." Like, I know it's on Netflix, but don't. That's fucked up. You write a whole ass movie and everyone's like, "Oh, it was great," and then like 2 years later, they're like,
right. The Academy Awards gives you an award to one of the players in the movie, and it's like,
I mean, did they really need to? I mean, they gave me one, so I guess I'll take it. But okay.
I mean, y'all can watch it if y'all want to watch it. Like, God.
I mean, I'm not going to tell y'all where it's streaming, but if y'all happen to find it,
cool. I mean, I'm still getting paid, yo. So while Ma's upstairs and the band is rehearsing downstairs, she had brought her nephew with her, and she's like, "Look, We ain't gonna do Levee's. All right, look, I ain't gonna lie, I laughed. It's fucked up. Look, it's supposed to be comedic, yo. Like, come on, yo, knock it off. Like, it's supposed to be funny.
I'm sorry.
You're a terrible person. You're terrible.
Because you're like, she's gonna show you her. I'm like, oh, this is supposed to be funny. I'm sorry, guys. I'm not making fun of people who stutter. I'm just saying the way that it was played in the film.
I mean, it's supposed to be played for slightly comedic factors.
Okay, great. So I don't feel so bad.
No, you should, but like,
no, too late. I already don't feel bad.
I'm already over it. But you know, Ma's like, look, we're not doing Levee's version of Black Bottom. Like, that's my jam. Like, we're doing it my way. And she's like, and my nephew here, he's gonna go introduce it. And so they're like, I don't want to do it. And she's like, no, nigga, we gonna do it that way. And the white guy was like, you right? You don't have to call me nigga, but like, you right. And
so a bit of trivia. There was the play came out in 1984. There was a revival in 2003. Which MCU star played Sylvester the Stutterer?
Oh, it's got to be Falcon, right?
It was Anthony Mackie. Yeah, well, yeah. There's only like one or two black people.
Yeah, I mean, my guess was supposed to be Don Cheadle, so I was like,
nah, I ain't gonna be no Don Cheadle. Get out of here.
I feel like it couldn't have been Chadwick Boseman because I feel like that would have been, a little bit too obvious. So it had to be the other two.
I mean, but Viola Davis and Denzel Washington, they did Fences on Broadway.
I think I read somewhere, and I'm not sure, but I think I read somewhere that Monique played Ma Rainey at one point.
I don't know where. Whoopi Goldberg played her in the 2003 Broadway revival.
Did people just want Monique to play her in this?
Oh, yeah. So she did play. She played... Monique played Ma Rainey when in the Queen Latifah Bessie movie on HBO.
Oh, okay. All right.
But yes,
were people okay with that?
I don't know. I did see some people say recently that she was too light-skinned to play Ma Rainey.
Monique is?
Yeah, that she was too light-skinned to play her.
Nigga, what?
All right, yo. All right. Everybody just calm down.
There's a lot of controversy surrounding
Monique is not light skinned, yo. Like, she's not light skinned. What the hell are you talking about?
Well, you know how people are.
I don't like them. I don't like people. Yo, she's a brown skinned woman. What the All right, yo. All right. Not brown enough. You're too brown. You're not heavy enough. You're too heavy. All right, yo. Come on, man. Come on. Like, knock it off. Can we just let black people have a movie? Can we? Y'all niggas will criticize great movies on the dumb shit and let the dumbest movies go on the big shit, like writing and acting. She in a fat suit, yo. I ain't watching it. All right, nigga. All right, yo. Fuck off. This is making excuses not to watch fucking
Viola
quality
Davis
in a fat suit, yo. Like, she just packed on a bunch of weight.
She did wear a fat suit.
I thought she packed on a bunch of weight to do.
So,
yeah, that's the article I saw.
So in the Netflix special,
myself personally.
So in the Netflix special that's about this film, about 30 minutes after this movie, she does say she packed on weight. So Viola Davis got up to about 200 pounds, just a little bit under that, but it wasn't enough. And the costume director asked her, "Okay, well, what kind of body are you going for?" And there's actually an article where Viola Davis says that she grew up around a lot of larger women who are beautiful. And it says she wanted to go for Aretha Franklin.
Yep.
So the costume director made her a fat suit that brought her up to about a size 16, 18. So, yeah.
All right.
Yeah, and she says, yeah, I felt very sexy in that fat suit. You could tell Denzel was like, "You loving that suit? All right." Weird. It's like a
my
weird.
Man.
That's like a weird. Yeah, my man. That's a really weird conversation. You're loving that fat suit, like really? It's fucking strange. It's like it's a strange bit of dialogue between the two of them. But if she was trying to get to the size of Aretha Franklin or something like that, I mean, I could see there being power in that, feeling like this powerful fucking diva,
the queen of soul,
right? Like there's power in that. I totally understand. Yeah. But again, she's a smaller person and she tried to get she gained a significant amount of weight for the role. She wanted to get bigger to be more inclined, in line with the role. That's fine. Here's my thing. Name somebody who's name a black woman who's a better actress than Viola Davis. I'll wait.
Yeah, I'll say
sorry,
this.
there isn't.
I don't have any problem with actors in general putting on either weight or putting on padding to make themselves larger to fit a role, especially if they're right for that role. So this didn't bother me, but I can see why some people would be a little bit offended of this role not going to a talented fat black actress, but I don't know any who would fit this role.
I'm trying to think.
Feel that way,
Nell Carter been dead for 30 years, yo. Like, I don't know who else.
Nell Carter.
So
Nell Carter was a good actress. She was.
She was.
No, she really was.
But she's been dead for 30 years, yo.
Wow,
like, we don't have a lot of Nell Carters anymore.
Yeah.
No, we don't. I guess you could say like Octavia Butler would probably have been a good choice. But I think she's damn good. I really like Octavia Butler.
Spencer?
Spencer.
Yeah,
Butler.
I think
the writer, not the writer.
Octavia Butler's the author.
Yeah, sorry. Spencer, yes.
I think Octavia Spencer would have been.
I think she could have done well. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't
know if I necessarily agree that with the take that I've seen on Twitter, because of course all of this happens on Twitter.
Garbage.
That Viola Davis should have given up this role to someone else.
Knock it off.
So I don't really. So, but I can see why people would have wanted to see a naturally larger actress to be in this role. I just don't necessarily think that's a requirement. So
I don't think so. And it's also not like it's not like she kept her normal weight and just put on a fat suit and was like, hey, I'm Ma Rainey. Like, right. No, she tried to get up to that weight and just physically couldn't because it's beyond her. And then she was like, cool, I want to go the extra mile.
Yeah. Okay. And also I never really see that kind of criticism towards other actors who will have to put on or lose a bunch of weight to fit a certain role.
Call me when anybody said jack shit about Tom Cruise wearing a fat suit. They don't.
Did Colin Farrell put on a fat suit to play?
I'm pretty sure he did, to play the Penguin.
Yeah, because I know he looks mad different.
No, he
is.
Him. Yeah, nobody's. You know what? Nobody's gonna say shit.
No,
it's not. And I can almost guarantee you that it was not that it was other black people making these comments about her.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
Look, man, there are things that I understand people have criticisms about, and I got no problem with that. But we've been talking about this on the last couple episodes. You got to stop just tearing down quality black work for little shit. Shit. Like, it's dumb. Like, come on, man. Like, if she's out there if she's playing a role like, I'm a jolly fat person, like just being ridiculous,
right,
then I can understand having that argument.
Right.
She brings power and strength to that role. She's not using it as some joke. It's not a comedy bit or anything like that. If it was, I got no problem with it. Go to work on it, about it. But it's not what this is. So come on, man. Please stop. Just stop. And I guarantee you these people didn't even watch the fucking movie. I guarantee you they didn't. Oh, I'm too upset. All right. I'm triggered. All right. Fucking whatever.
Look, that's not the only thing I've seen about this film. I've definitely seen the argument, why do we have to keep showing, black trauma in films? The same arguments that we see all the time when there are black stories told in period pieces, but
y'all niggas don't go see anything. They don't even support black movies that are not about those things. They don't watch them.
And did you guys watch the Netflix special? The 30-minute?
For this? No, I haven't.
No.
You guys should really take the time to do that because Denzel brings up some really good points about that, how he hears about that people don't ever want to see stories that show our pain, but he says it tells about different black experiences that he thinks August Wilson's plays show that. So he hopes that people get to see how we're just like everyone else, but we also have a lot of history that need to be told to people too. It reminds me a lot of the conversation that you guys had in the preview episode last week. Was it last week that you guys did? We talked about fences.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So basically that. Yeah. I feel like there's always a place for these types of stories, and maybe I don't think we're hearing these stories enough, or at least told in the right way, like Denzel and Viola are bringing them to the screen.
Yeah. I mean, I guess the long and short of that is, we're correct, just like Denzel, right? Like us and Denzel are on the same page. Finally. Finally,
Denzel,
he
if you're
understands.
listening.
Denzel, finally, you're with us. Right.
Subscribe for $50 a year.
Thank you. Denzel, you can come on the show anytime.
Donate to the show.
Denzel, there's an open seat for you on Zoom anytime. Anytime you want to come on. Just let us know what movie you want to do. That would be wild. So at this point, look, she's like, look, I'm not singing Levee's version. Get the fuck out of here. Let my nephew go down there and meet the band. He goes down there and meets the band. And they're like, all right, you're going to do the intro, son. And Sylvester, and he's like, all right, cool. I'll do the intro. And he starts stuttering, and Ma's like, look, he going to get it right. Don't worry. And she walks off, or she walks off before he actually gives a sample. And so he stutters, and Levee has probably the best response of all time. He goes and leans on Cutler's shoulder. He's like, now fix that. Go ahead. I want to see you fix it. Like, go ahead. Nah, you good? Like, that shit was
Levee's
hilarious.
such an asshole.
He is.
He's such an ass. And so Sylvester was like, well, you can go to hell, nigga. And then Levee just keeps laughing. I'm like, oh, this is
it's real hard to slam a dude if you're stuttering, like that. Like that shit don't. Yeah, it don't work nearly as well. And it's funny because they all laughed. They're like, oh shit. They all did what black people do. They scattered and stared at the wall and started laughing. Like, see, niggas ain't changed since 1927. They're the same. They always the same. So yeah, like they kind of laugh about it, but then they kind of get over it. Then they have a very interesting, probably one of the more powerful conversations in the movie where Mr. Studevert comes down. He's like the producer, and he's like, "Oh, let me see those songs you've been working on, Levee." And Levee gives him these songs that he's been working on.
As soon as he did that shit, I was like, nigga, what are you doing?
Yeah, you never give up your own fucking tracks, man. Never. Nope. Get the fuck out of here. Which you'll pay for later. And so after, and he's like, oh, thank you, sir. I can't wait to do these movies. Yes, so he's like, he's giving a little soft shoe, right? He put a little soft shoe on it. And the second he leaves, the white guy leaves, the three other guys are like, yeah, like, oh, you kissing up to the white man, letting the white man tell you what to do. What happened? You don't know shit about the white man. And Levee goes from like kind of 0 to 60. They're like giving him a hard time. Like every black person has given other black people a hard time about this exact topic. Right. And Levee takes it really personally, and he tells this really brutal story about, like when his father was away, people, used to make fun of him and say that he was like an uppity dude or whatever. And then some white men, came to the house. The dialogue moves really fast, but I thought he was implying that they raped his mom, and then, and beat her up or whatever. And then he, as a little boy, attacked one of the white guys with a knife, and the white guy took the knife from him, beat him up, and then put a huge cut across his chest. And then he talks about how his dad moved them out of that house, and then dad went back and like killed 4 out of the 8 guys, and then he was hung and burned alive.
Not only he moved on, like he I think it was like he
Smiled in their face.
He sold them the house,
Yeah.
some of them guys, the house that they were in. And, essentially that, he was playing the long game for revenge.
Right.
And Levee feels a tremendous amount of guilt because his father had to go out. So he says, Levee, you're the man of the house now. Take care of your mother. And this very tragic thing happens, and he feels responsible for it, for not being able to protect. Right. So his dad goes and sells these men their house, and then he goes back. He's playing the long game. And he says, this is how I know how to play these white people. I'm doing all this yes sir, no sir. That don't mean I'm afraid of the white man. I'm playing the long game like my dad. I'm just not paying attention to how that story ended, but I'm playing the long game like my dad did. And he thinks he's got a handle on it, and he thinks he knows what to do. And look, I kind of get it, that you experience that, you see it in action, right? And you think, well, he got half of them. That's all he got his revenge, but he fucking died at the end of it.
Right. Brutally.
And I don't want to die at the end of it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, you really feel for, and this is like 10 minutes of just Chadwick Boseman just acting. This is one of those scenes where it gets dark and spotlight is on him, and even the other actors are looking like at this story, and it's you can see Glynn Turman, his eyes getting red, man, like he's tearing up at the way this guy's acting. And I look at this and I'm like, any other time, it's just the right amount of like hamming it up. It's not overly like, you're not eating pork chops, but you're taking a slice of bacon. You know what I mean? Like because it's just the nature of the dialogue of this being a play, right?
It's self-indulgent. Right. It's supposed to be.
Yeah, and it's supposed to be like this is if this was a musical act, this would be his solo, right? Right. Soliloquy, solo. Yeah. And but it's just the right amount of it. And any other time I'd be like, wow, like Chadwick Boseman is acting his ass off. And then, I was trying to separate Chadwick Boseman's, everything that he was going through with this performance, but I can't. Like this dude was being treated for chemotherapy, and I wonder how much of all of that goes into this performance. And yeah, man, I am impressed with that guy, man. I'm impressed with him.
Yeah. I need to say this because I know before I forget later, but there is something he says later on in the movie about life and death that just really hit me because it's so eerie, but we'll get to that.
Yeah. I know which part you're talking about. Yeah. Yeah. This scene is amazing, right? Like he is delivering this soliloquy, and as a soliloquy goes, like it's all him. The camera cuts back to the reactions of the other three characters, but it's all him. And they're literally just watching this kid relay the most brutal of tragedies and why he thinks the way he does, right? Oh, I don't need anybody to tell me what to do because I've got this all planned out. And you do feel for him. You feel for him a lot. And it's because of this scene, I think, that it gives the ending so much weight in a different direction than you would, like if this scene didn't exist, right? This and the next big scene where they, have competition. So he tells that story, and they're all like damn dog, like we know all that. and then Toledo gives this whole thing that I thought was really good. I wish I had kind of like paid more attention to it. But he's with like he's got like tears in his eyes are red, and he's talking about how like black people, like we make our own history, and that history is like a stew, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that, you know, we are, you know, you got to look around and there's like different ingredients to the stew, and like we are the leftovers, right? From like through history, we are the leftovers. And it's just a really powerful thing as he's sort of playing the piano at the same time. It's just beautifully acted. Like it just really was. I'd like to see this play, because I'd like to see it in its like raw element to just see how it would be as well. So they bring down, they go upstairs to do the Black Bottom, and Ma's like, look, I'm gonna need a second microphone for my nephew. And they're like, yeah, but it's, this dude's having a hard time talking. And they're like, you know, maybe we should. And he's like, nah. She's like, nah, fuck that. Give me the microphone. Get the shit done. And like, Levee, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. And he don't listen, because he want to do whatever he wants to do. And so then they eventually get the microphone hooked up. They get, they're getting ready to record, and Ma's like, nah, yo, where's my coat? It's hot in here.
Ooh.
I'm sweating.
Oh, I loved it.
And she was like, you said you're supposed to have my coat. Like, so I'm not recording until I get my coat. And he's like, the one guy comes down, he's like, well, yes, you are going to record. And she's like, no, the fuck I'm not. Like, fuck out of here. And so she's like, all right, you go down to the deli, you get me my 3 Cokes. And they're like, all right. So they eventually, they're like, they go down to get her Cokes. And Levee's girlfriend, she goes downstairs to see the band. And Levee's down there, and he smooth talks her. And it's the fastest smooth talking I've ever seen, because they go from talking to making out to banging on a piano in no less than 3 minutes. Amazing.
Well,
amazing work, Chadwick. Amazing work.
It made me, first of all, I had never seen a sexy with Chadwick Boseman. I felt discomfort. I don't know if in a good way or in a bad way. I'm still deciding. But,
relax.
Like, because I don't see Chadwick Boseman. I never saw him in that way. So just seeing him like have a sex scene was just a little awkward for me.
Yeah, it's like your brother having sex.
I'm like T'Challa. I don't want to see this, guys. But it made me wonder if they had messed around before, because the way that she was looking at him in the beginning of the movie and the way he'd be looking at her, and just like the way they came together so fast, I'm like, it feels like they've been talking on and off a little bit before. Maybe they had never had sex before, but it seemed like there had always been something there, and she has always acknowledged it in some way. Well,
however it works, she was DTF, as they say.
What did he say? His brown hen or her brown hen,
his red rooster into her brown hen. Like, all right.
Yeah, 1927 language is wild.
And how she may sound like a midnight train to Georgia going past the Mason-Dixie line. And
I too have used some of these terms. I'm gonna have to see if that works on my wife. Be like, what's going on with the red rooster? And she's like, nigga, get away from me.
Are you a dude from South Carolina? Because Chadwick Boseman was. So
yeah, that's how they talk down there. That's how y'all talk down.
Look, ain't nothing better than blasting a hole into forever.
Yeah, that's
Fall on top of you and blast a hole into forever.
That's what
ain't nothing topping that.
I mean, in fairness, August Wilson seems to find a good sexual innuendo in all of his plays so far that I've seen. Blast a hole into forever is got to be one of the top lines of all time. Don't I go up there, fall down on you, and try to blast a hole into forever? Like he was doing her a favor and shit.
Yo,
fall on top of you. Wow,
he was so disrespectful in that film.
Yes, he was.
Good Lord. Do y'all think Ma knew?
Hell no.
Chadwick?
Hell no. Hell no, she'd have killed him.
Okay.
You see
Nah,
her?
he'd have been gone a long time ago.
Nah, yo, you ain't just gonna get your beak wet, as they say, with Ma Rainey's girl. Get out
You
of
ain't
here.
gonna get your rooster brown.
Yo, I don't like the way that sounds. That is
It's not okay. It's just not okay. But yeah, like, you know, she's, you know, she basically, Ma has this whole conversation where they're like, when they're banging, about how like these white people don't give a shit about you, until like right until they get her music recorded. Then she loses all her power. So that's why she does whatever she wants, gets the cokes, gets, you know, willing to walk out and all this other shit, because the second they get her voice down, they have no use for her after that. And that's not untrue to this day.
right. Which is to me, like why I said earlier, this movie, to me, is just about like the Black experience in the workplace, especially when we work with people in white places or places that are mostly run by white people.
Right.
Because she talks about earlier about how the producer was like, oh, you know what, to worry about the cost. And then in this conversation, she's like, they were talking about the cost, but they're not really worried about that. That's really nothing compared to what they really have. And I think for me as a Black person, a Black employee, I'm always wondering, what am I worth? And am I being treated the way I feel like I deserve? And when you're working for someone else, especially if you're used to working in some place like corporate America or whatever, you're always, you kind of have to sort of take what you get. But Ma Rainey is like, she says, I'm not taking any shit. So if I want my Coke, I want my Coke.
Right.
It's hot in here. Give me something to drink. She is making sure they treat her fairly because that's what she deserves. And she even tells them, like, I make more money. I make more money for you guys than all of your other acts combined. You are going to treat me well, but you see how they were not willing to do that. So I guess my question for you two is like, as people who, you know, in the workplace, how does that resonate with you in terms of like having white managers, white coworkers, working in predominantly white spaces? And do you take something from what she said into your own lives too?
Yeah, look, I mean, it's true, right? Like, she's not wrong, especially creative spaces, right?
Right.
Yeah, I was about to say, if we were, it's a little different because our jobs are like, I mean, I can't speak for Jay, but we're cogs in a machine.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Like we don't.
I'm a black cog in a white machine, y'all.
Right. Like we're the trumpet players. We can be replaced, right?
Dime a dozen, man.
But if you are a creative, like this is more of a parallel for artists today, especially musicians.
Yeah, that's how I read it, right?
Yeah, that's all you hear about is musicians being like boned by everybody, which is why they want to do tours and stuff, because that's where they make their money. But you can extrapolate that to a larger role, I think, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's what slavery was, right? Like,
right.
I mean, I hate to use that Kenya Barris joke again, but because slavery.
And,
I mean,
you know,
it's a joke,
like,
but like,
it's true.
live long enough to see yourself become the villain. You run any sort of like, this is kind of fucked up that this is happening to black people. You run that thread long enough. Yes, sir. Hey, you keep pulling on it. A sweater gonna come out from under that bed with the word slavery written on the front of it. Like, it's just the truth.
Even like as like because I'm in a lot of like Black food bloggers groups, and I see what some Black food bloggers who spent a lot of time being pretty much everything, the editor, the creative director, buying the recipes, and then being approached by big brands who don't want to pay them. And it's like they're doing them a favor, and they draw up these contracts that say, "Oh, your exposure is compensation." When
they just did that to Tiffany Haddish.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, but the Grammys, right?
Yeah, it was the Grammys or something like that.
You want to do it for free,
right?
Like, oh, you got to do your own hair and makeup too. Like, nigga, what?
Like, no. Mm-mm.
Yeah, and she turned that shit down.
And she and they try to say like, oh, it's exposure. And she's like, yeah, I have enough exposure.
But it's exposure. Like, would it be exposure for George Clooney or some shit? Like, no, you wouldn't
Right.
treat him like that. Get out of here.
Right. And Tiffany Haddish everyone knows who she is, and just like how everyone knows who Ma Rainey is at this point.
Right.
So it's just being unfairly compensated for your talents. And I see this in so many different circles where people are trying to get people like Walmart or Kroger to give them money, and they're just like, no, we're going to pay you in exposure or in free products that you have to spend your time and effort editing and making whatever. So that's what I took from that conversation with Cutler.
Yeah, look, I mean, Black people, Black creatives specifically are often put into a situation where they are not being paid at an equal rate, or they are being treated as less than, or something like that. And because of that, there are some who are way more leery about what these contracts mean. Like, are they okay to be treated in the way that they are? And then some people are just like, I just want a chance. So like, treat me like shit. I don't give a fuck. But then you have people like Rihanna or Jay-Z and things like that who have made it so high in their field that, like, I don't know if Jay-Z owns his masters, but I know like Rihanna bought her masters and things like that, right? Like
Lil Wayne sold his.
Yeah, you wildin'.
For $100 million. So all of his masters for $100 million.
Yo, he sold Drake's masters.
and I think Nicki Minaj's is somewhere in there too.
He was like,
I'm sorry. Sidebar. Is Tiffany Haddish dating Common?
Yeah, they've been quarantining together.
Yo, Common is a hoe, yo. Like,
yeah, no, he is. He is.
Everybody.
Hey, spoiler alert. They gonna break up.
Of course.
Yo, the Taylor Swift of fucking Black entertainers, yo. He's just dating everybody.
No, he dates.
Oh,
I'm
no.
surprised they weren't dating before, because he's a dater of the moment, right? He's like,
right.
Oh, you blowing up? Let me just ride your coattails. Like, you don't need to. Like, you're a popular person, but like, he normally dates somebody who's like blowing up, and then he's like, cool. And then he just hits the fucking parachute and he's out.
So he's a succubus.
Yeah, he is.
Yo, nigga, you all right? Yo. I'm sorry.
A cloud chaser.
Right.
Yeah, he is.
Get out of here.
You can also catch Common in Ava, which is on Netflix.
That's all I need to hear. No, thank you.
He was not good in that. Yo, Common can't act. Yo.
Where he plays Jessica Chastain's love interest? Question mark?
Yeah, just a sidebar in that movie. He used to be with Jessica Chastain. She bounced, and then he ended up with her sister. Nigga, what?
So he a hoe in that movie too?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He don't act. They were like, "What would you do in this situation?" He was like, "I fuck both of them if I'm being honest." And they were like, "That's your character arc." I got it. It's like, you need a script? Nah, yo, I got this one. This let's just say I'm gonna rip this one from the headlines. Don't even worry. Don't worry about it. I fucking got it. Yeah, Common is a hoe. God bless him. I mean, he said a hell of a track record. So yeah, Ma Rainey's point is a good one, and it's dope, and it's still very real. It's still very, very real. I can't imagine. I mean, obviously we create this show, and like, I would hesitate to call us artists, but like, I really can't imagine what it's like being a young musician or something like that. Like a young Black musician who makes it, and then you're like trying to figure out how to hedge between not getting yourself completely wrapped up and destroyed by this industry, but also wanting to make it. Like, and staying independent and things like that. That's pretty tough.
One thing I noticed, and this is like a difference between Levee and Ma Rainey, is that Ma Rainey was perfectly fine following through on her threats of going back down to the South, going back down to Georgia, and just playing for the audience that lined up to see her in the beginning of the movie. Whereas, like, I feel like Levee, he was always like chasing that stardom that I think people who moved to the North are probably looking for. Like, he sold his music. He was willing to play the Yes Sir, Yes Master, whatever. But Ma Rainey was just like, I'm good. I've experienced enough. I'm good.
Do you think that has to do with like being okay with just the black gays and wanting to have part of the white gays for Levee? Like Ma Rainey is completely fine with just solely, you know, doing her music for black people with black people, and that's it.
Right.
Where Levee seems to want to have broader appeal, and I kind of see that as like that's a very generational thing.
Right.
I
I
don't know what's right and wrong necessarily.
I wouldn't necessarily say it's wrong. I mean, it's about appealing to a broader audience outside of your own, and who knows what that was like back then. But
Right.
I feel like with Levee, I see that as him trying to play that same long game that his dad tried to play, like trying to control white men, but with his talent with the trumpet. But it just wasn't going to work out.
Yeah, that's a good point. Actually, that's actually a very good point, because that is what it is, right? You're trying to control white people with just your musical talent, which
The same way that Ma Rainey is able to. But the thing is, Ma Rainey is truly on some. I really don't give a fuck about white people, and she knows. And she said she even acknowledged that those white folks probably called her all types of names, and she even mentions that her manager, the guy who is chasing after her, only invited her to his house one time, and that was to perform for other white people.
Right.
In 6 years.
Right. Not to sit down and have dinner and anything.
Not to get to know you, just to perform, tap dance with these other folks. And here you have Levee, who is at one point early in the movie, like, I know how to tame the white man. I'm not worried about the white man, but he's really sensitive about it. But at the same time, willing to give up his own artistry and voice to sort of please the white man in some way.
He's just not thinking. He's not thinking. Like that's it's hubris.
Yeah.
It's hubris, and plain and simple.
Yeah.
But
yeah. All right, let's skip ahead a little bit. So after recording, after trying to record like 17 takes of Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, they finally get it right, and they find out there was something wrong with the microphone cord, and so they lost the recording. And so Ma like fucking flips out. She's like, "Nope, fuck this, I'm out." And they try to talk to her, and they eventually get her back. And you know, there's a whole conversation about like being a fool. And yeah, you guys are right. Like again, the three characters are like, they're talking about what it is to be a fool. Like, you know, Toledo is talking about how he was married to this good woman and she left him for a good old church going guy, because he was hanging out in all these nightclubs, so he wasn't clearly not a good guy. And he said he was a fool, and then you've got this whole these other characters are saying like, look, no, a fool is somebody who does something, you know, on purpose and thinking it's not going to affect them, and life just treated you unfair. And then this is I think, Tiara, with the part that you were talking about, where Levee's like, life ain't shit, right? Like, you know, life, you know, you can rule over life. Life ain't nothing. Death is what you really want to, like, that's what's really fucking scary. And so it's like, and like they have a whole conversation about like being dissatisfied, and like as a black, like, I mean, literally at one point he says, Levee says, niggas got the right to be dissatisfied. Like, look at how shitty life has been. Where was your God then? Right? Like, where was your Jesus when all this shit was going on? Right? Mm-hmm. Like when your wife was leaving you and you were alone and all this other shit, like, where were you? Like, where was God when all that terrible shit was happening to my mom and all this shit? Like, I watched it, and you know, if God is real, why didn't he come down when my mom was begging for his help? Like, yeah. And look, this is not to get too much on the religious side, but like, this is where atheists have a lot of anger, right? That were raised religious. Like if God is so mighty and perfect, then why does he allow suffering, right? Like,
right.
And look, it's a philosophical question. That's not what I'm here to say, but that's what a lot of people feel about a lot of things, right? When it comes to religion, I personally feel that way about certain things. Not like, well, then why did I get a B on that test, right? Like people do dumb shit like that. If God was around, he would allow me to get an A. But but I think I feel that way about like starving children in Africa, like that's but that's my own personal feeling. But I don't put that on other people.
I feel the way about 70-something-year-old men who are able to be dictator-like,
right,
and separate kids from their parents and let starving people's benefits expire.
Right.
300,000 people die in a pandemic. I think about that, like, but
yeah. So and again, that's an anger that I can understand.
Right.
I get it. And right or wrong, I think it's a justifiable anger. And then they Cutler and Levee get into a real fucking argument to the point where like Cutler's like, "Oh, word? Like yeah. So how about I pull this knife on you?" And you see if God can protect your ass from me. It's like, all right, yo, like relax. All right, Micah. You're Cutler in this situation. God give you power to that chair. That's what I feel like. Right?
Yeah. You see, the religious man didn't get stabbed.
No, he didn't.
No.
Yeah. Because God works in mysterious ways.
If I'm putting the older man in front of him. See?
Hey. Maybe God protected him. You don't know.
I mean, one could argue that God
did get stabbed. Logic and reason.
They murdered him.
Reason got stabbed.
Yeah.
Steady Eddie didn't get stabbed. Faith-based man didn't get stabbed.
I'm surprised that logic and reason didn't get murdered by the religious person. See, that's me just being a dick. That's me being.
Michael, are you trying to say that scene is the epitome of let go and go with God and just go with faith?
I am a religious person, but I am a religious person, but religious people don't think I am. I believe in that there is a God, but the way I believe God don't work the way that religious people think God works.
Like an ATM machine?
Like
right?
a genie. Like, you don't just
$1 million.
Clasp your hands together and wish for shit, right? Like if it happens, it happens. Like my view of God is that God is out there and he's just looking, right?
Yeah.
Because if you wanted us to worship him, we would be angels and then we would be forced to do it, right? Like, and if we didn't, then we'd go to hell, right? Like, but somebody told God, hey, the only reason them people love you is because you make them love you, right? And God is like, all right,
yeah, who did that? A logical person.
Yeah, the fucking devil. And he's like, all right, well, I'm gonna make humanity and I'm not gonna behold them to me, and I'm gonna show your ass. And then they're just looking. They tallying up people.
They're
you know what I'm
saying? As you do.
So yeah, but that's how I view God and religious people. That goes against what religious people.
He's an absentee landlord. I love that movie. It's ridiculous, but I love it. Yeah. So Levee and Cutler literally like get into a fight where Levee pulls a knife and is like, "Look, I'm fitting to stab Cutler." He's like, "No, fuck your God, fuck Cutler's God," basically, and he's like pointing a knife at Cutler, pointing a knife in the air, trying to stab Cutler. It's getting a little serious. But again, this is literally a person with seemingly no moral center attacking a very reasonable religious person, like with a knife, because he is so wayward when it comes to having any grounded direction.
And this is why people use religion. Like, some people need religion as a center. Some people need it as a North Star to guide them. Like, that's how religion should be used. You're an atheist, but I would think that you would agree with that. Like, if
I'm not an idiot.
If you don't have anything, you need someone or something to guide you. And if it's God, if it's the law, or if it's your parents, if it's your role model, or generally people need someone or something to guide them. And that's what religion does for a lot of people. That's why you see people when they commit some crime or have some sort of life-changing event, like, people tend to steer them toward religion to give them focus and purpose. Like, and religion is just like anything. It can be a tool, right? Like, I can use this hammer to help build a wall, or I can use it to bash you in the head and kill you. Right. Like, it's not as evil as people make it out to be, but it's also not as it's not the end. It's not the thing that's going to save you. Like,
it's not as evil as some people make it out to be. It's also not as benevolent as some people make it out to be either.
Right. And people, but we don't, people don't think that way.
Well, I think part of it is, like, you've got a lot of people who see, I think a lot of people see religion in a way to change individuals. And I fundamentally don't agree with that. I think religion shows you who you really are. Right? Like, my family is very religious, right? My mom is an incredibly religious person. My mom is one of the most giving people I've known, period. Like, she just is. She was raised that way. My grandmother was that way, right? Like, fucking shirt off their back kind of people, right? Like, you need a coat? Like, don't tell my mom you know anybody who don't have a winter coat. Like, all right? Like, you will get one. My mom will buy one. My mom, I can tell you right now, my mom spends more money on people she is friends with or doesn't know by helping them with whatever financially. The kids need school clothes or whatever. Cousin of a cousin got put out of their house, whatever. She spends more of her extra money on shit like that than putting it in savings. I know for a fact she does. And she will probably hear this episode because my aunt will tell her. she's one of the most giving people I know. But I don't think it has to do with because she's religious. She would say it is, but I don't think so. Right. I think her religion, or the way that she goes about her religion, is a reflection of the type of human being she is. And the reason why I believe that is because I know people like Joel Osteen exist. And he is an incredibly religious person, and he's also a piece of shit grifter, right? Like, no amount of God is going to change that guy from, like, I got to get paid. It's just not. Right. Because that's who he is fundamentally. He's a grifter.
Right. Same with in Baltimore folks, or and I guess now
Micah?
Atlanta folks.
Your boy
Jamal Bryant. I think he lives in Atlanta.
Piece of shit, yo. That nigga's a piece of shit.
Yeah,
I will never forget that fucking story. That nigga was like, what did he say? $280, Micah?
He's like, I need $280 for everybody. We trying to send the kids to Jamaica, and I need $280 from everybody. And he had a big congregation for Baltimore.
How many kids was he sending to Jamaica? Knowing Jamal Bryant.
All of them.
Knowing Jamal Bryant, he was going down to hedonism. like right. Come on.
Baltimore City has a population of like 600,000 people.
Yep.
How many people were going to his congregation that were giving him?
He had, and I don't know the numbers offhand, but he had a couple thousand. Huge congregation, right?
It had to be a couple thousand. That was a pretty big church.
Yeah.
It wasn't a mega church, but it was like a kilo church. You know what I'm saying? it was a lot, yo.
That's wild. Wow. I'm gonna need $280 from everybody. Nigga, that's a PlayStation. At the time, like no.
And I think he didn't. And I think he didn't really like it up here because people up here don't get up off of money like that because we ain't got it like that.
Which
That's why I went down to Atlanta. Atlanta.
Oh, he getting
right. The home. I'll never forget this. I went to Atlanta, and I was remarking about how real estate is dirt cheap compared to 4 or 5 states up, and he was like, "Yeah, Atlanta's the home of the $30,000 millionaire." Like you, everything is dirt cheap. The land is dirt cheap, so people got money, and they give down there. That's where all them Creflo Dollar, that nigga bought a plane, a plane,
like a G6,
right. If I want to get a $65 million plane, then the Lord will let me get a $65 million plane. Like, all right, nigga, all right, yo, get out of here, man.
Yeah, the Lord told you that you need your own plane. You can't just fly Southwest like everybody else. Okay.
Prosperity preachers all can go to hell, yo. Every single one of them. Every single prosperity preacher can just go straight to hell, yo.
It's all bullshit. That's the most American shit of all time, by the way, right? They have somehow managed to turn the word of Jesus Christ, who was like, yo, why don't you just give people free food and like fish and bread? Like, let's all come together, y'all. They're like, Jesus said, get money. I heard him say that shit.
Right. Cash rules everything around me. Cream.
Jesus Christ.
Jesus is over
Bye,
here.
Jesus.
Jesus is over here performing magic tricks to feed people for free, and Jesus don't want no $5 million plane. Get out of here, yo.
Yeah, he can fly, can't he?
Fuck out of here.
I don't know. Is that one of Jesus' superpowers? I don't know. You fly? I know you can walk on water, but that seems like it's going to take a long time to get across the ocean. I'm just saying. Probably should fly. Yeah. I find prosperity preachers to be the absolute worst. But yeah, those are real people, man. Those are real ass people. Amazing. So yeah, the religious fight reigns on. Eventually, it ends. And they're like, all right, cool. I'm just gonna let you do your thing. I'm just gonna let you live, I guess. And then we see the band performing. They get the microphones working. They get Ma back. And they're in their bag on one song. Like they were just like they're tearing it up. Everything was like really super good. And afterwards, Ma's like, look, you kind of fucking up, Levee. And he's like, oh, I was improvising. He's trying to do something real special, right? He's trying to like boost it up. And she's like, look, you fucking up my music because, I can't tell what you're doing because you're all over the place. And she was like, yeah, no, that's cool. You gonna play it the way I fucking told you to play it, or like you're fucking fired. And he was like, leave me alone about my music. And Cutler is like, look, that's Ma's music. Like, fucking relax. And she was like, all right, cool. Nigga, you're fired.
Yeah, yo, like you could play this a different way, yo. Like, ain't nobody telling you not to be ambitious. Ain't nobody telling you not to go for it. But like there are and people are probably gonna get mad, but like there are ways to do this without bulldozing your way through shit, right? Especially when you're younger. That's because you don't have the life experience. And even if you like that dude has the talent, right?
But it's his ego. He can't, that ego is just his downfall in the end.
Yeah, man.
So he's a classic Greek tragic character, right?
Like right. You're not just gonna bust down the doors of Amazon and be like, yo, I know how to do this better than you. I mean, you might, but you're not just gonna do it. Like you gotta work your way up. And people don't like to hear that for some reason. People don't like to hear that you gotta work your way up to shit.
You have to be a team player. Like you have to be a team player, and you have to learn to be able to stand behind someone else's like light or whatever and prop them up, because eventually you will get noticed. And something that I think about in this movie is how Ma Rainey put Sylvester up there to say that the first few lines, and instead of Levee being encouraging of that, he laughs at him. Right. Meanwhile, Levee doesn't understand that he's in the same position as Sylvester. He's no more special than Sylvester. He can also be replaced. But Levee thinks that he is so important, more important than he actually is. And what he doesn't understand is that Ma Rainey is that person who's going to help pave the way for him. If only he learns how to stay in his lane for the time being. Ma Rainey can see that he's ambitious, just like how Ma Rainey understood that Sylvester could stutter. She knows what's going on, but Levee is just so short-sighted. He's only thinking about himself and the power that he wants to have, but he just doesn't. Yeah,
you're not wrong. You're not wrong. He is so blinded by his own ambition, right? And you see that a lot though. Like I see it a lot with some people who I think had a chance to.
Yeah, I'm aware. I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Okay. It's that time of year, isn't it? We'll explain that one offline.
I'm like, I want to know.
No, yeah. Some people listening will be like, they recognize what time of year it is. But some people have so much talent, or they had so many opportunities, but they are so blinded by their own ambition that they end up blowing it, right? You end up screwing friends over and things like that, and just it blowing up in your face, and then you have nothing, right? Like, and when as the line goes, when there's blood in the water, the sharks will come, right? Like, and then after that, it's done, right? And people will destroy you, and then it's over, and you can't get it back. So. Yeah, and he gets fired, and then he goes downstairs and he tries to break through that door that he's been working on all day, and he finally gets there, and he's like, to prove, like he knows what he's talking about, and he knocks the door open, and it's a door to nowhere. It's just to another brick wall, and what that should be isn't like, it does represent. Like, you think you know what you're talking about, but you just paint yourself into a corner that you can't get out of on your own. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it couldn't be any more like on the nose.
Yeah.
But I liked it. I liked that this guy thought he knew everything, and it turns out he didn't.
Yeah. I've seen it in a lot of young early career professionals who try to like upstage like their boss or their manager, the person who brought them in, not realizing that, doing that is going to have you fall flat on your face than if you just be quiet and just do your job. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. And, to Micah's point earlier, like a lot of people, especially this day and age, don't want to hear that, right? They want to be told that
you're special, you're the next big thing, but you gotta.
And you might be,
but you might just be a cog.
Yeah, you might just be a cog,
and that's okay too.
I'm a cog in a machine, man.
Do you get paid, Micah? Micah, do you get paid for being a cog?
I got everything I want out of life, which is why you don't hear me complain about shit all the time, serious shit. Right. I got everything I want out of life. Now I don't want for much, and look, maybe that's failing on my end, right? Like I would, but
no,
I'm just kidding.
I got a job I don't hate. I got a family, and I own a home. I got land. I'm good for right now. It's all I've really ever wanted. I remember talking to one of my friends who worked at GameStop. He was like, I ain't never met a nigga who always talking about wanting a family so much as you.
Oh, that's so cute.
Well,
he's a bit of a simp. It's okay.
I am. Yeah,
Micah listens to Music Soul Child, so we know.
He don't even want no hoes. I mean, like, what kind of nigga is this guy? Man? Come on.
I want to be happy.
That's it.
You know what I mean? I don't want to be Levee, right? Like I wish I had more ambition, right? But at the same time, like I want to be happy.
Right.
And right now I'm happy. So, which God, I feel so bad for this character, man. Because it's like I want to help you, young blood.
Young blood.
Trying to help you. Trying to help you, young blood. I'm trying to tell you what I know.
Yeah. You know, this is definitely a movie.
Find you a girl, get some land, get a family.
Find you a good woman. Get yourself some land, own a home, save your money.
This is Micah exactly 18 years from now talking to his son. Get some land. Do you hear me? How important land is?
That poor boy.
It's like-
that very lucky little boy.
He's like, Dad, everybody's getting cyberpunk augmented reality shit. I care about land. I got a new cyberpunk eyes.
I finally have enough money for a Tesla Cybertruck. Please leave me alone.
I want to go. That's right. Yes.
I'll say this, and I know we'll get to it towards the end, but like this movie actually gave me real secondhand embarrassment with Levee at the end, where I honestly kind of just wanted to turn it off and like leave my own house because I just felt so bad and embarrassed with this character.
Yeah. And then shit goes fucking left. So Ma's like, look, we're done recording. I'm out. Like, give me my money. They tried to pull a fucking Tiffany Haddish. They're like, look, we got to pay you $200 and we got to pay Sylvester $25. Why don't we take the $25 out of your money? She was like, nigga, no. Go find $25 extra dollars. She was like, if I wanted to pay him out of my money, I'd have just paid him. I don't know. Mm-hmm. No, like, nice try. And so they miraculously found $25. They pay the rest of the band in cash. Everybody is happy. Ma leaves and they're like, all right, Ma, if you can sign these release forms. She was like,
And she called his ass out too. I loved it. Like he came up with the money and $25 for the kid. It was like, yeah, it's amazing what you can do when you realize that I didn't sign my release forms.
Yeah. Smart as shit, man. She was smart. She might have been crass and not from the North, but she wasn't an idiot. Like, she just wasn't. And that's what they took for granted, right? Is that she's this like podunk singing lady and like that was enough. So she was like, yeah, why don't you mail those forms down to me, down to my house? I'll get to them. I'll get around to them. And they were like, nah, whoa, slow down. And so he's like, she literally has a white man begging her on the street. Come on, please. Sign these.
Ma.
Come on now.
She made sure her car was fixed. Irvin said she was going to fix that car. She made sure that car was fixed. Yo, she
got she got everything she wanted. She got land. She got a good woman.
Nigga, I want to be Ma Rainey.
Right. Like she got property. She owns
Micah is the Ma Rainey of this podcast.
That I would believe. He doesn't wear his fronts on every episode, but you gotta pay attention. He be having them on sometimes. And so she eventually does sign the papers. She's like, all y'all get your asses in this car. Let's go. But she got everything she wanted out of it, right? And she, I wouldn't say played them, but yeah. She
knows the game.
She knows the game.
Like, she's been playing the game long enough. And it sucks because the last shot that you see of her, she looks miserable. Because she has to play this game.
Right. Instead of coming up there. Right. And it is exhausting, right? This is a thing that white people don't understand about what it is to be black in America. That idea of us constantly having to prove our worth, us constantly having to, tell you what we already told you one time that we demand, and knowing what our worth is, where white people don't have to deal with that. They just don't.
And like what's so insulting to me is just how put out that producer just seemed. Like, just so Ma is always coming in here pretending like she runs the place. And I'm just thinking, like, one of her main requests was for y'all to just make sure she had something to drink, and y'all couldn't even do that.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure if you had a white artist, you would have had the checks would have been right. You wouldn't have been complaining about the cost to do Sylvester's part. You would have had as many cooks as she needed. And it just felt like it felt like she had to pull teeth at every point just to be treated well. And that just I felt the weight of that in this film.
Absolutely. That's exactly right. So yeah, she was like Micah said, she looked miserable because she's fucking tired. She's tired of dealing with white people shit. I get it. Just saying. I understand. I get it. And then we get a scene at the bottom, or at the end of the movie, and like there's a moment where Mr. Studever comes down. And he's like, "Yeah, I don't think this music is for us."
Yeah, he pays the band, and then Levee pulls him up and is like, "Hey, I gave you that music when we recording, bruh." And the stereotypically Jewish man is like, it's not for us. Sorry,
I'll give you $5.
$5.
Right,
$5
for us.
With the Pawn Stars thing, like best I can do is $5. That's it. Like $5? What the fuck? Get out of here, man. Even in 1927, Levee was like, $5. What?
And you see the way that he treats Levee, the way that they tried to treat Ma, and Ma wasn't having it,
right?
Because she knew but she had the clout to back it up, and Levee just in this moment is so clear he just does not have that.
Yep.
And it's so sad, and
again the look at how the shot is framed, right? Like
yep.
you see the owner
on higher
stairs looking down at Levee, right?
Yep.
Like it's the opposite of what Ma Rainey was looking at that cop, right?
Right.
And his at one point Levee gets a little bit of confidence and he gets back up on that step and he's like, "Come on, man, like you said we were gonna do this." But then as his confidence like shirks down, he steps back down again and he's looking up at the guy, man. Like all this stuff is this is good, man. This is good.
Yeah. And he, and what years of trauma at the hands of bigotry, it causes one thing to happen to us more than anything else. Us lashing out at our own people. Right. Because we are not capable of lashing out at white people in society, right? That will get you killed. That will get your life destroyed. That will take everything from you. But lashing out against your own people, maybe you get in trouble. Maybe you don't. But you just feel like it's easier, right? It's easier to lash out at people that you care about when you're having a bad day, that kind of thing, right?
Right.
And that's what happens. Toledo steps on his shoe by mistake right after that, and he's feeling small and he's feeling weak. And Levee just goes off and he's like, "Nigga, you stepped on my shoe." And he's just like, he is fucking losing it over something that is irrelevant.
Well, right? The shoes are
they represent him trying to make it.
Yeah. And they're a symbol of his failure. Right. Like it's him trying to make it, right? I bought these shoes because I'm gonna be a big star. And then he realizes like, nah, you ain't gonna be a big star. You just got fired from a sweet gig, and you got dicked over by the music industry. Yeah. And like you said, all that shit just fucking comes to a head, man. Like another white person is fucking him.
Right.
And he just, man. And he lashes out. And what's the first thing you do when you're mad? Logic and reason are out the window.
Right.
Yeah.
Logic and reason die.
Yeah.
And so it's the only things left in the room are emotion and like credibility, but it doesn't have any level of power when you kill logic.
Yeah.
Which is what he does. And like literally as he stabs Toledo in the back, he literally says, "He stepped on my shoes, man. He stepped on my shoes." A completely illogical comment for his action, right? But by the way, and I looked it up, there's another aspect to the sort of, to this, which is kairos, which is an ancient Greek word meaning opportune moment, right? So Levee is kind of that, right? He has an opportune moment to go in many different directions throughout the story.
Yeah.
And at the end, he chooses this, which is to hurt and destroy logic. And the second he does it, right after he's sort of, after he says, he stepped in my shoes, after he takes a moment and it kind of dawns on him on what he did. And his opportune moment was to hurt another black person, to lash out because he felt small because of what a white person did.
Yeah.
Right. And it's, he feels small and destroyed because of what a white person did, but he also feels small because he got fired by his own hand. Right. So his failure to maneuver around Mrs. Studevert pisses him off, but it's doubly worse because his failure to keep his mouth shut and just calm down for a little bit so that he could actually, succeed with Ma also did him in. So it's interesting. And in the end, like I said, he kills logic, and he's just rocking back and forth, holding him as he's bleeding.
It was the part where he was talking to the producer and basically begging him to record that part on the stairs, and you just see Cutler and the other guys just kind of look away, even though they can clearly hear what's going on. That was the part where I really just wanted to turn it off and just walk away. I felt so embarrassed for that character at that moment. Yeah. Because the only thing that you saw in their faces, it wasn't like, haha, nigga, we told you can't control the white man. It was true pity on all of their faces. They legitimately felt sad for him because they knew that the rest of them were planning on going to go tour with Ma Rainey after that. But he was going to be left on the streets someplace.
Right.
Wrestling with his own demons. And it's tragic.
Yeah. Yeah. So then we see
the movie just adds insult to injury. God damn, we knew this was going to happen, but god damn, did you have to show it? Right.
They got Colin Jost up there singing his songs. It's fucked up. Man, they really emphasize that white people they ain't got no pep in their step in 1927.
Yeah. My jelly roll.
Yes.
All right.
I can just imagine black people playing this song and it being a million times better.
I mean, look, when Levee was rehearsing it, getting his composing it sounded better, right?
Yeah.
And now it's just my jelly roll, bump, 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 bump. All right, yo.
Yeah,
all right.
Boring.
You got no fucking soul, yo.
And then, they literally focus on a white trumpet player playing, clearly Levee's part.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And it's just outside of the, whiteness of the band, this could have been him. He could have been the guy. But instead he is likely in jail for killing, Toledo. So,
yeah.
And thus destroying his life and his career forever. So there you go. And that's the end of the story. Overall, I just thought this was a tremendous bit of work. I really did.
Yeah. What an ending to unfortunately Chadwick Boseman's career. What a role.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're gonna end it, I'm kind of glad that it's not on Black Panther.
Right.
Black Panther was a milestone and stuff like that, but that's not I feel like this is more of what actors want when they first decide that they want to start acting, right? If you're really passionate about it, right? Nobody, well, I don't know, but I would imagine that actors don't go into acting thinking I'm going to be Tom Cruise, right?
Right.
But I don't know. I think this is a wonderful little piece of art to go out on, because it shows that he's not affecting an accent. You know what I mean? He's not he doesn't have a stunt man doing all this extra shit, right? Like it is a person embodying a role, and he's killing it. So yeah,
yes, amazing work. Like just amazing work for his last film. Yeah, I'm glad. I am glad that he was able to go out on this because it's such a high note for him, and it's such a high point in his performance. So, yeah, there you go. Yeah, great work. I look forward to seeing literally anything adapted from an August Wilson play. I will watch any of it at this point. This is just like, it's not even a question. It's not even a question. All right. I think that's it for us. Tiara, thank you for coming in for this episode.
Thanks for having me. This was fun.
Yeah, this is our last episode for 2020. So we will see you guys. Our next preview episode will be on the north side of January 1st. Okay. So enjoy the holiday, whatever holiday that is. Christmas, Kwanzaa, Hanukkah, staring at a wall. I don't know. Whatever you want to do. Festivus, right? For the rest of us. Any of those. Please stay safe, and we will see you guys next time.
See you.
See ya.
Bye. You're watching the Black on Black Cinema YouTube channel. Make sure you check out our full reviews of Black movies, past and present. And every other week, we do a preview episode where we talk about a random topic that affects the Black community.